So as a TFA parent, you've got the chance to see our communication, the documents that have come out. Any thoughts on where TFA is in terms of preparedness for this school year?
Yeah, I think it's been impressive. I think it's been great. So much of it is, it's really, I guess it's kind of three things that are really at play. One of which is, level of community illness. One of which is school prep. And then the other is sort of, individual responsibility, both student and parental, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. But anyway, just in that one bucket of school preparedness, it's been great.
One of the things that we all know is this is a shared responsibility, right? I mean, it's not just one of us. It's not just a few of us. It's all of us. And so talk for a second, if you could, to my son, who's a senior, and you've got some kids here as well, to those who are students, to say, hey, guys, here's some things we're counting on you to do. We need your help.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is, in some ways, that's always been true. We're always, no man's an island. We're always interconnected in so many ways, not just about illness, but in so many ways. But it's kind of right in our face now, and it's so true in terms of not just my classmate or my teacher, but really the whole school and the success in trying to pull this off is, contingent on each person doing. That's that third. If you think of these three things, there's community illness, there's the school prep, and then there's the individual responsibility. It really is sort of the proverbial three-legged stool. Any one thing that is not there, and it probably isn't going to work. And so just as a student or as a parent of a student, communicating to our kids that it's discipline. You need to do this whether you feel like it's necessary or not, and this being the hand washing, the mask, the distancing all the time.
If a student were to say to you, well, why? What is the why? Why do I need to wear my mask when I'm in public? Why do I need to keep 6 feet? What's the why?
Yeah, a lot of it is, some of it is this whole concept of asymptomatic transmission, that if somewhere 30 to 50% of people infected have no symptoms, potentially, or that's what it's thought, and therefore if they have no symptoms, they feel totally fine, they are an unknowing carrier or person infected. One of the things we've said to our kids and to our staff at work is you kind of need to treat every single interaction you have with someone as if 36 hours from now I get called from that person, they say, I just tested positive. Am I still okay with the way I'm interacting with them today? And so helping them understand that there are people you're interacting with who are going to be positive 48 hours from now, and you can't go back and do what you did. And so the why, as far as the 6 feet and the mask, you're treating everybody as a potential infection. There's been so much confusion, and the medical side of me says this is how science emerges, right? I mean, science has been emerging in front of everybody's eyes for the last 6 months, and that's been some of the frustration for some people is like, well, but last month they said this, and that's been sort of frustrating to people. But this idea of transmission, is it transmitted through droplets or just the air we breathe, or is it just stuff you touch? That's been confusing, and so primarily it's through coming in contact with someone who's got it, right, in a simple way. And the closer you are, the more likely you are to catch it from them. The closer you are for a longer period of time, the more indoors, the less ventilated. All those things just kind of turn up the risk a little bit. And so all you're trying to do with things like wear a mask, like distance, like wash your hands, like be outdoors, like interactions that are shorter, is you're just trying to turn everything down.
At some point, we hope to return to normal in terms of athletics and band and the arts and all these things that are really special to a school.
Yeah.
With that comes some responsibility, doesn't it, on the part of the student?
Yeah, and absolutely. And that's a great example of how, if someone just wanted to say, should we go back to school or should we not? Well, every situation's a little unique. Every family situation, school situation, same thing with sports, right? Various sports are far more likely to have spread than another sport. And so, again, managing expectations, there's probably going to be some sports that are okay earlier than others. And that's frustrating if the sport you play is the one that isn't. But it also gets to, again, these three things. If community illness is decreased to a point where sports are deemed to be safe, this sport is deemed to be safe, and school prep, meaning the team, the athletic, the way practice is conducted, all that is really good. But the individual, when they're not at practice, is doing things that are really irresponsible in terms of COVID behavior outside of practice, outside of school, and then they're coming to practice, the whole thing unravels, right? The stool falls. And so it makes it even more imperative that that person really exercise really responsible behavior outside of that activity. You know, one of the things that's hard about this, anything that is exponential growth, anything that grows like a hockey stick, you really only get one really good chance to manage it, and it's the beginning. It's early, and so there's just a lot of encouragement to, whether it be when sports get started, that those early times doing things really conservatively, because we're trying to limit, but actually the opposite. We're trying to play. We're trying to do this. And in order for this to be successful, it really requires a lot of diligence on the front end. And so that can be, the front part of a hockey stick, you feel like nothing's going on. And so it can be sort of, this is what we went through just even on a global scale early on, is that all these measures were being encouraged, and people look around and say, what's the big deal? I don't know a single person with this. And not realizing that you're in this phase. This is your one chance to really do it right.
Well, thank you. This has been really helpful. And I know that parents and students alike have appreciated your expertise. And the fact that you're a dad of TFA students makes it even easier for us to hear, because you're walking the journey with us. And so we appreciate the time you've taken to be with us. And thanks to those who joined us today. Dr. Middleton, again, TFA parent, pediatrician in town, and joined us for a conversation that has been incredibly helpful. We look forward to a great year.
Thanks for all you're doing.
Yeah,
That's cool.
thanks.
Yeah.